chat. Pass the ball or pass the buck. Yes, that appears to be what the Six Nations have done. They've just passed the buck on this one, haven't they? So we'll be getting into that and all sorts of other things. Well, I say we. Hopefully it's we, because Arsenal's having all sorts of technical issues. And at the moment, it's just me, myself, and I. Well, and also a beer, which is quite nice. So yeah, I've gone for the Monteith's Summer Ale for this one, which is a quite nice little number with a bit of ginger in there as well. So, yep, that's what we're into. That's what I'm drinking at the moment. Let's just see. I'll try and get Archie back one last time, and then we'll see. Otherwise, I'll tell him to dial in. So sorry if you can hear the dialing in the background. There we go. But we're trying to get him in. Hello. Are you good to go or not?
No, mate, it's still not good. What
Still
I might do
good.
is,
Okay.
I might. Oh, hang on, no, wait. It's just dial in now. Hang up and dial in now.
You dial me. Right then. So having a quick look, some of those little news items that are out there, which I thought I'd just touch on, which are a bit interesting. John Kerwin coming out and saying that warns Ponga, apparently the Newcastle Knights Rugby League superstar, who's apparently thinking about putting a clause into his contract so that he can come play rugby union for one season to go to the Rugby World Cup. And John Kerwin say, "Oh yes, you need at least 2 years to have a crack at the All Blacks." Yeah, John, the way you dealt with Benji Marshall, maybe you're not the best person to be handing out advice on this one. But hey, go for it, mate, because you know what, gets you clicks, gets you your coverage, doesn't it? Keeps your name in the news. So that's one. Yeah, John Kerwin talking about rugby league players playing rugby union. Not a good look. Nadolo off to Leicester Tigers in the UK. That should be good. Love Nadolo. I think he's a wonderful player. Obviously getting a bit old now, but apart from that, he's good. Now then, no, we still do not have a NZ Fatso picture.
It's coming through slowly, I think.
Coming through slowly.
Doesn't sound, because it's actually not on my headphones either. It's just coming through on the laptop.
That sounds like you're some sort of that's spaceman.
Rocket Man.
Name?
Is there a picture of me now?
No, there's no picture of you now. We don't need your picture anyway. You're not that pretty. We can. We've got you now. So, yep, interesting one there. Sir Clive Woodward warns Wayne Pivac, stop criticising refs. It's harder to do debriefs after a loss if you've given people an excuse. Really, Clive? Shut up, please. Please just shut up. I mean, I agree the coaches shouldn't be criticising refs on the whole, but really, Clive, I just I think he just needs to keep his. Look, you've had your time. It's been and gone, mate. I think it's time for you to step aside and enjoy the cigar. Nice leatherback armchair by the fireplace. You're just sounding more and more out of touch, I think. Don't you think, Arshman?
Oh, so was it Clive Woodward, was it? What did he say? I missed it, sorry.
Oh, I've only read the headline. I can't be up. I'm not going to even deign to give them the extra click of. But he just says that it's harder to do a debrief after defeat if excuses have been made. And he's saying Pivac, don't criticise refs. You're making it harder to do debriefs.
Yeah, like as opposed to focusing on focusing on what your team needs to do, you're just
as opposed to focusing on tip tackles and getting lawyers involved. Yeah, Clive.
Lawyers involved. Whoa, that's getting
well. He did
next level.
I think he went to Clive. Remember All Blacks tour. Obviously, tip tackled Brian O'Driscoll. I think Clive Woodward handled that one really well, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. He's got form. He's got form.
So maybe Clive just needs to wind his neck in a bit. Evening, Simon, who's in the live chat. Everyone, if you're in the live chat, do let us know, and let's actually know where you're watching from, please. That'll be kind of interesting as well. I know Simon's watching from the Bay of Plenty, I think Rotorua. So yes, great to have you, Simon. And it means he'll get to watch some global rapid rugby. News on that front for people.
What's the news on that front?
Yep, I've got a chat with somebody from Western Australia, Craig, I'm not exactly sure who Craig is, but I know him on Twitter, and he is well connected over in Western Australia. So we're going to do one video looking at what's happened in Western Australia since the Force got cut from Super Rugby, and then do another video previewing the Global Rapid Rugby. So if you want to know something about each of the teams that's going to be in Global Rapid Rugby, that video will be coming out next week. Myself and Craig will go through all of that. So so get yourselves up to speed with what's going on in Global Rapid Rugby. Those will be for your ears only videos, i.e. become a supporter of the channel at DrivingMaul.com, and you'll be able to get those videos. So if you want to know about Global Rapid Rugby, there's even a Super Brew League this year for there. It's definitely getting lots of coverage. Yeah, and Arsenal's like, what's this Global Rapid Rugby thing? Do they just run down quicker?
Well, Global Rapid Rugby, I'm aware of that, but I haven't really followed the old Super Brew thing, though. That's what it's like, they haven't gone into that. But, I sort of I look forward to the old Global Rapid Rugby rolling around. Let's try saying that quickly 10 times. Because, and they end up watching some of the Fiji games in particular. The Drua.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a halftime interview, one of the preseason games, and it's interesting that the side that they're looking at, that the Western Force guys are thinking are going to be pretty good, are going to be the Fiji side, because they've got the Drua in the NRC, so they've been around for a few years now as a team, as a squad. And the other one is the China Lions, because essentially it's Bay of Plenty minus 10 Cup team without their Super Rugby players, I think. But I'm trying to find out what their what it's difficult to find out, get squad information. But so I say, Craig is getting it pulled together for him by Global Rapid Rugby, so we'll have all of that for you.
So it's actually, what you're saying about it's difficult to get that squad information. Goes back to the theme of, not theme of, but discussion point in last week's show as well, is all of the rugby organisations needing to lift their game, so they've got better the fans are being better informed, so you got better engagement.
Yeah, I think we can perhaps cut these guys a little bit of slack. I mean, the China Lions didn't exist 6 weeks ago. I hear what you're saying on that front, but then when you think about the fact that it's actually going to be a Bay of Plenty run China Lions, then you've got the expertise there to be able to sort of put something in place. To be fair, there's it's not as Bay of Plenty heavy as I think a lot of people think it's going to be. It is. I think it is. There was an awful lot of people down from China in Tauranga getting involved in getting this thing set up. At least one of my videos got bumped from a room because a bunch of people from China had to use the meeting room to get involved with their planning meetings. So no, it's not as it's not Bay of Plenty with a different badge. It is a bit more. There's a bit more to it.
Now I think you might have said something about this, and that was when I was having my technical difficulties. So the Fiji Drua got a rename.
Well, no, they haven't been called the Drua in Global Rapid Rugby. They're only called the Drua in NRC.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Okay.
They're called the Fijian something or others. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Latui.
There we go.
By the looks of it.
So, and then it's not Manu Samoa, but it's pretty similar, isn't it? Something like that for Samoa, the Samoan team.
Yep. Manuma,
that's right, Samoa. It's not the same entity entirely as the Drua, but it is. I mean, a lot of the players are, I think, are pretty similar between the two squads, because let's be honest, there are two professional rugby teams, in Fiji, the Drua and the Latua. Did you say it was again?
The Latui,
sorry. And as they don't play at the same time, there's obviously going to be a lot of professional players who'll play in both of them. There's a heavy amount of crossover between those. And World Rugby is involved in the Fijian team and the Samoan team, and making them happen, which is good to see. On that kind of note, Clayton McMillan, the Bay of Plenty Mitre 10 Cup coach, will be leaving Bay of Plenty at the end of this season at the end of this year, to take up the reins at the Chiefs, while Gatland goes and works on the British and Irish Lions. So,
Do you call that sort of like a sabbatical? Because I mean, it's only 1 year. Then Warren's back. Look who's back. Warren's back.
Well, Warren's on a sabbatical, but
yep.
I don't think Clayton is. I think Clayton will be. I mean, I don't know how long he's signed up for at the Chiefs, but I think it was pretty. I think it's clear that he's leaving Bay of Plenty, and will be moving on to the. This is his big moment to step up and try to be successful at the next level. Now, whether he stays at the Chiefs or whether he moves on to something else after that, I don't know. But I think it's there. I had to buy Matson down as the person who was going to have this. I mean, he's been there now for 3 years. I'm surprised. I think don't get me wrong. I've talked to Clayton quite a few times. I think he's done a very good job at Bay of Plenty. I think he deserves a step up and an opportunity at this next level. But I was surprised I didn't go for someone in house in Spy Matson.
Yeah, look, I was thinking exactly the same thing, and you're sort of thinking, isn't that a bit of a kick in the teeth for Tabai Matson? You know, basically coaching probably sort of similar levels. Clayton McMillan obviously involved with the Maori teams, you know, squads as well, and coaching them. And but with Tabai Matson, you know, in the Chiefs coaching setup, and then basically totally bypassed and somebody you'd sort of say is an outsider coming in to fill the head coach role. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Tabai Matson's thoughts are. Obviously, you'll never get an open and honest answer on that front, but yeah, I'm sure he can't be too happy about that.
Well, he says he's an outside player, man, and he is to a degree. But I mean, Bay of Plenty are part of one of the provinces within the Chiefs region, as it were, or greater region. He's worked with Roger Randall at the Maori All Blacks. He's worked with David Hill at Bay of Plenty, who are two of the other four coaches or five coaches in there. So it's not. I was going to say it's going to be there with some people he already knows. So that will help with the sort of getting his legs under the table. And apparently he's going to come and shadow Warren Gatland occasionally during the Super Rugby season to help with the handover as well, which makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, you know, a lot of organisations these days are trying to, not necessarily successfully, because it depends on the success of the team itself, but looking to have some sort of succession planning through to that top coach position. So, and when you look down that roster for the Chiefs coaching, you'd sort of say, oh yeah, it definitely looks like they're trying to achieve that within within the Chiefs framework as well. But as I mean, like Clayton McMillan, still within the franchises or the unions within the franchise area. So yeah, still an interesting move for me though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish him all the best. I'm looking forward to get to talk to him a few times during my Sen Cup. I assumed he would be coaching the China Lions in the Glow Rapid Rugby, but maybe not. I'll hopefully find out next week on that one, or sorry, on Thursday on that one.
Sounds good.
You had a piece that you pulled up that you said, let's talk about this. Gatland to replace Eddie Jones if he leaves.
Yeah, the reason why I sort of popped that through to you was not the fact that to take that seriously, was just the fact is that to me that's just a situation where a journalist trying to create an article about nothing, because Gatland's signed through the Chiefs through to 2023. To suggest that he's going to take the Lions next year and then straight after the Lions, England will pick him up and replace Eddie Jones with Warren Gatland is rather fanciful when he's got a existing contract with the Chiefs. Now, for Warren Gatland to end up coaching England, England is going to have to pay the Chiefs an awful lot of money to buy Gatland out of his coaching contract.
Yeah, but the RFU are kind of used to doing that. They bought.
They have. Yeah.
They have form. They bought Eddie Jones out of his contract with the Sharks, was it? I think.
John Mitchell.
They did the same with John Mitchell from the Bulls as well. to get him into the. So yeah, no, they've got form at doing this.
They got form, but
they don't have the cash to do it because
when you look at the, I mean, like Eddie Jones, yeah, he's up there, but when you look at the caliber of Warren Gatlin, the Chiefs aren't going to be wanting to let him go.
Oh no,
there's a lot of value in having Warren Gatlin there as their head coach. I
was chatting with someone from over coffee this morning who he's a sponsor of the Chiefs. And actually, as we were talking, Anton Leonard-Brown texted him. So he sat down and had a chat with. He talks to several players every week. Has sat down with Gatlin a couple of times. So he's clearly in the. He's a trusted person within the Chiefs. And look, he didn't give anything away. Even though he said, look, he's got a good idea. But anyway, so but he made the point that look that if Gatland wants to, it comes down to what Gatland wants to do. Does Gatland want to have another shot at international rugby, or does he want to have another shot, or does he want to have a shot as the All Blacks coach? Now, if he wants to do as a shot as the All Blacks coach, he needs the Chiefs to win Super Rugby. End of story. If he doesn't win Super Rugby with the Chiefs, he doesn't get the All Blacks coaching role. If it does, he has a chance of getting the All Blacks role. Now, and that comes down to is that one of the things that's left on his bucket list that he wants to tick off? And if so, he's going nowhere because the Chiefs are, let's be honest, outside of the Crusaders, his by far the best chance of winning a Super Rugby title.
Yep, or landing the job, even you could say. The interesting thing with that is also, I'm pretty sure. Happy to be corrected. I'm pretty sure after he left the Wales coach, there was talk about him coaching England as well, and he says he'll never coach England. But dollars talk, don't they?
Dollars do talk. Now, and let's be honest. So the person who actually said this was Kieran Bracken. He said, "Look, the safest pair of hands would be Warren Gatland." Yes, funny that. Here's a guy who's done who's done 3 British and Irish Lions tours, had been very successful. Has been successful with Wales. Has turned up at the Chiefs and has taken a side that has perennially been had the cattle, but they've all been injured, and has come along as and has come along and managed to keep them all fit by doing shorter, sharper, more focused training sessions, and it's worked really, really well so far. So. Christopher Edwards says, would he have to win Super Rugby, or would 4 grand finals suffice? Look, if he's in the finals 3 years out of the 3 years he's there, then that's pretty good going. But you'd want it to see him close out the deal. If you go to 3 finals and you don't win one, then yeah.
Yep. Can you get the team up for the big game?
Exactly. Simon corrects me. Yeah, Eddie Jones was coach with the Stormers. Oh well, sorry, he was contracted to the Stormers. He never actually did work there, not the Sharks. It was one of those South African franchises that begins with S. One of our regular features that I forgot to touch on last week, but let's have a quick chat now. A bit look at it is the World Rugby Rankings. Now these matter because the draw for the Rugby World Cup in Japan is happening at the end of the November tests, or the seedings will be taken from then. Currently in the top 10, it hasn't changed. It's South Africa, New Zealand, England and Ireland, 1 to 4, which puts them in that first top seed area. Wales, France, Australia and Scotland in that 5 to 8, puts them in that second seed. And Japan, Argentina in 9 and 10 currently. The biggest movers, though, are Switzerland. They're up from 31st to 29th. So congratulations, Switzerland, as being the biggest climbers this week. Any kind of insights into Swiss rugby you'd like to give us?
I think it's quite well known that Switzerland have been sort of calling for the World Cup to be extended to 32 teams, so that they can actually attend. And
we all like Swiss chocolate.
With the form that they're showing recently, they're putting a big, strong case forward.
So Simon lets us know Switzerland beat Germany. Thank you, Simon. And hence Germany dropped down from 28th to 30th below Switzerland there. And yeah, Germany unfortunately had that millionaire or billionaire backer. He's dropped out of rugby. He's got upset with all the administrators and that he's been messed around, and so he doesn't fund them anymore. And I expect to see Germany slowly go backwards because of that. There's not just don't have the funding to compete. Where should we go next, do you think? Any other topics before we spend the next 40 minutes on the Six Nations?
I wasn't supposed to laugh then, eh?
No. That's what's going to happen unless you got something else to talk about, because I've just got Six Nations left now.
No, sweet, go for it, mate. Go for it.
Right then. COVID-19 or coronavirus. Hence, you've noticed I'm drinking Monteith. It's not Corona.
Don't want to catch that coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly.
Takes you up for a day or a morning.
Actually, before we go on, hat tip to Super Rugby. Well done, and Sanzar. Well done for relocating the Sunwolves games and not postponing them and eventually having to have them cancelled. Okay, we've had a go at the administration at Sanzar several times for several different reasons, and most of the time they deserve it. So when they do actually something right, I think we should say so as well. So well done in getting those moved. It does mean, actually, so we'll just talk about that for a second. It does mean that the Blues game not this weekend, but next weekend will be earlier at 4:35, is it?
Yeah. It's some 4:35 or 4 o'clock kickoff, which is a little bit disappointing because I think had it been a 7 o'clock kickoff, after 3 wins on the road in a row, they would have sold out Eden Park. So I think maybe with the 4 o'clock kickoff, they might only get about 30,000 instead.
God,
that was a bit slow, mate.
Oh dear me! I was trying to search something on the other computer. That I wasn't really paying attention to what you were saying. But yes, 40,000.
No, actually, it's great. No, it's really good. It's a true afternoon game, which you'll as a rugby fan, out and out rugby fan, miss afternoon games. So I'll be there anyway, but to have it as an afternoon game will be even better.
It'd be an afternoon game. It's at 4:25. So yeah, so the timings are a bit strange, folks. Is that to do with rugby league as well? The Blues match being on earlier. No, it's to make room for the Sunwolves versus the Crusaders game to be at 6:45. I think it is. Not quite the 7 o'clock slot, but that's I think because they've got to turn around and have 2 games on at on the same pitch, and hence.
The only thing that's a bit weird for me is that, this weekend, I think it's this weekend, the Sunwolves game is on, and then you've got a New Zealand game, and then at the same ground in Australia, you've got a second game. So I thought it was rather interesting. Why didn't they do the same concept in Brisbane as well? Sunwolves having their game, Blues Lions at the normal time, and then rolls into the Reds and whoever they're playing, and that would have given the ground staff heaps of time to reset the field up for whatever they need to do.
Now, I think it's more about players warming up on the pitch, but the reason for that
and fans hang. I mean, if you're doing it as a double header, fans hanging around for 2 hours with nothing to do.
I understand. Yeah, no, because there's so this weekend they already had a warm-up game scheduled for the Waratahs game. So they already had 2 games scheduled. So what they've done is they've put an extra game at the beginning. So now you have 7 hours of rugby at the same location. You have 3 games back to back. Which
sounds good.
So apparently, folks, if you are there, and I've gone blank as to where the actual game is, but apparently the ground is very close to the sea. Take your swimmers, go see a game, head to the beach, have a swim, go back and see another game, and make a whole day out of it. Including some time on the beach, because apparently that's the way to do it for this one. So the But the reason they're moving the Blues one is the Reds I don't think had a warm-up game, or at least not a significant game that they couldn't just can. And hence that's why they're moving the Blues earlier to allow then the Sunwolves Crusaders to happen, and then the Reds versus whoever it is they've got that week. So in 2 weekends time, you know what I should be doing? I should be going straight to the Tribe Sports app. It's the only place to be to figure this sort of stuff out. Because I'm sure that our friend Ryan will have updated these already. So this weekend, that's at 7:00. Next weekend, 4:25 on the Saturday. 6:35 is the Sunwolves Crusaders game, and then 9:15 is the Reds Bulls game. So the Reds game is at the normal time, but the other games are slightly out, kind of in the same time slot area, but not quite at the normal. Because it was 4:45 last week, wasn't it, for the early game? It's 4:25 this time.
Yeah, that's right, 4:40. Yeah. No, I mean, it's just on the Super Rugby front and with those the time changes in there, but just rolling back to last week's games and the like, it's interesting. The results that came out from last weekend were actually fantastic because you had quite a few what you'd say minor or major upsets happening. You had the Rebels tipping over the Highlanders at home. And then obviously the Blues beating the Stormers at home as well. And if we want this a tournament to sort of capture the imagination of supporters as well as people that just you want to drag into the sport to get the numbers up, you need to have that sort of thing happening where you're getting upsets happening. If it's just if it's foregone conclusion of who's going to win the game, it's at home, the home team's going to win, you're not really going to not going to have that great, eventually, and we're seeing it, you're going to have a competition sort of wither and die away.
Yep. So it's fantastic that we had those couple of upsets, and it's been the Australian. So we've had the Brumbies beat the Chiefs in Hamilton. You've got the Rebels beating the Highlanders down in Dunedin, and then we've also had the Blues beating the Bulls over in Pretoria.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and then the Stormers in Newlands the week ever. But also, I mean, even though as part of our picking, we actually picked the Sharks to beat the Reds, for away teams to still come in and get the win is good thing. So actually, it creates interest in it as opposed to knowing, as I say, a foregone conclusion where the home side's going to win.
Yep, absolutely. So, well done to the to SANZAAR for dealing with COVID-19. The Six Nations.
COVID-19.
The Six Nations. So what have they done? Well, they've had a meeting and they decided, you know what we're going to do is we are going to pass the buck or pass the ball straight to the governments and go, if you don't tell us not to host the game, we're going to host them anyway. Which is okay. All right. So they've gone and said, right, look, hey, Italy, unless you tell us we can't have games in Italy, we're going to go ahead with the games as scheduled, and we're going to put the whole weight. We're not going to take any kind of responsibility here. We're going to, we're just going to follow government advice. Now, I can see and some reason, something behind that, and they've said that they may move the Italy-England women's game and the Italy-England under-20s game, because they're in North Italy whereas the actual England-Italy game is in Rome, which is not North Italy. So they might move those two, but the other ones. But at present, everything is going to be as planned. So slight technical issue with my lighting. I get where they're coming from. They're saying, look, we're not the experts here. The experts are, we need to follow government advice, but you got a whole bunch of fans in a couple of weeks' time think they've got a trip to Italy that are all we're going to have let's be honest, travel chaos at the last minute, trying to figure out how to handle it. Let's
take a step back, Paul. What are they actually doing with the Ireland-Italy game for this weekend? It's postponed.
Yes.
So postponed. It'll never be played.
Yes, it will.
Will it?
So I had a chat with Bernard Jackman this morning.
Yep.
The
Hugh's dad.
Sorry.
Hugh's dad.
No,
Sorry.
not
Carry
Hughes. No, not Hughes' dad. Dearing me. So Bernard Jackman is the ex-Ireland international, has coached Grenoble and the Dragons in the top 14, the Pro 14, and he's currently coaching. He's currently got a day job and actually currently does commentary for Ireland TV, and also does and also does some coaching for local clubs as well. And we had a talk about Ireland player pathways and club rugby. That's coming out at 9 a.m. Tomorrow morning. So if you want to see that interview, DrivingMaul.com for that. But one of the things he mentioned off air was that look, the Six Nations basically pays for rugby in Europe, and that Ireland would really not want to play behind closed doors because that's 45,000 tickets that they don't get money for. All the corporate hospitality they don't get money for, etc., etc. So they have to host this game because they need the cash from it. This is where their money comes from. So it will happen. If they have to cancel November games or July games or whatever, they'll do that to make this game happen. So it will happen probably in October, just before the November internationals. It's probably where they'll squeeze it in. But this game will definitely go ahead at some point.
So the
Pro
final
14
outcome
games,
of the Six Nations won't be known until October.
potentially, yes. And this has happened before when there was foot and mouth meant that people couldn't travel to Ireland.
Yeah.
And yes, they played the games at the end of the year, and England missed out on the grand final. It missed out on the Grand Slam by losing to Ireland in one of those games.
Oh wow! So there's precedent.
There is precedent. Everyone, yeah. As far as the Six Nation games are concerned, they will happen. So the Christopher Edwards says Italy don't have release of their players outside the Six Nations or international windows. Yes, they do, because nearly all their players, apart from Sergio Paresi, play, or well, maybe not all of them, but the vast majority of them play for Treviso. Play for Benetton Treviso, or which is known as Benetton now, and Zevere, and hence they will get the Pro 14 will schedule the games so they can have their players. So don't worry about don't worry about that. Italy will get access to their players. The Pro 14 will make sure that happens. Italy may want to have the draw as a 0-0, but money talks, and money says this game is going ahead.
So as yet unknown date.
As yet unknown dates, yes. So it'll probably be it'll either be around the July internationals or the November internationals, is my guess. So we'll see how that all pans out. So it's good. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that how that works. To say there have been games previously played in the autumn for Six Nations. It is very few and far between, but it does happen occasionally.
Now, and so the next one that will be impacted in terms of somebody make a decision will be that Italy-England game, which will be in coronavirus central Italy.
Well, no, because it's in Rome, you see, which is not.
Yeah.
And the coronavirus is all in the northern part of Italy. To be fair, so yeah, we'll see how that pans out. Obviously, we'll still have to. There's also the Wales Scotland game to go ahead, and also the France Ireland one in that final round this weekend. We're expecting everyone expects England Wales and Scotland France will happen unless something really big changes in the next 2 days or 2 or 3 days. Simon thinks it was April when they played in the foot and mouth crisis. I'm pretty sure that at least some of the games were in November. We're in the second half of the year. I could be wrong. The Pro 14 games that have been cancelled, mind you, those aren't going to happen because 10,000 or well, the 5,000 or 6,000 that turn up to those games aren't significant enough to make those games happen. So I expect the two
even behind closed doors.
I think they'll just as it's the Italian sides who aren't going to impact the I think it's a good chance they'll just cancel them in the end.
Oh, so the games are both Italian sides?
So this weekend, last weekend, 2 games got cancelled or postponed that were being hosted by the Italian sides. So we'll see whether they actually go ahead or not. But I think there's a pretty good chance that they will just they just won't happen. Maybe I'm being overly pessimistic. We'll see. Other things going on in the Six Nations is that they're talking it seems to be time for TV rights, and so there's lots of talk and speculation that actually the Six Nations is going to get won by Sky for about 300 million, and that it's going to go behind a paywall for the first time ever, which has caused.
Oh, no, it's just interesting they refer to it as a behind a paywall. But it technically, yeah, absolutely correct. It's just the terminology. But yeah, look, I mean, obviously in this part of the world, whether it's New Zealand, Australia, or even with South Africa, we've been used to rugby in particular being behind a paywall for I don't know how many years now, probably more than 20 years. In fact, probably since just before Super Rugby started. Yeah. So it's a novel concept. The fact that in Europe or in the UK at least they're talking about concerns around rugby going behind a paywall.
Well, so in Europe, the domestic rugby, i.e. the Gallagher Premiership, the Pro 14 and the Top 14, they're all behind paywalls already. The November internationals and the July internationals are also behind paywalls. The one bit that isn't is the Six Nations. Interesting. Simon says that the Pro 14 matches have been deemed draws already. I thought that was okay. Interesting. I didn't think they had been. I'd missed that. If you want to know why I've been missing a few things recently, my behind the curtains will show you what's been going on in my life recently. Comes out on Friday, so you can go and have again DrivingMaul.com to see what's going on there. Totally lost track of what I was saying now. Oh yes, so the Six Nations is the shop window to attract basically new fans and all the casual fans, and that's the one hence that's why they're trying to keep it out of, and it gets the biggest audiences outside of basically Rugby World Cup and the Football World Cup. I mean, it gets bigger audiences than like the FA Cup final and things like that. So it gets really, really big audiences, which is why there's been this push for it. A few interesting things. The BBC and the ITV are not allowed to do a joint bid this year, or this time around, which they have done in previous years. That's how they've been able to outbid Sky, is to jointly host them across the two channels or the two networks. But they've been told they're not allowed to do that. So it does smack of that the Six Nations Committee are trying to give Sky every opportunity to be able to buy it.
Sorry, sorry. I think I just missed that in terms of why aren't they allowing BBC and ITV joint bid on it?
They haven't said.
Oh, okay.
The conspiracy theorists would suggest
yes. What's your conspiracy theory?
The conspiracy theory is they want Sky to win.
Essentially. And to extrapolate on that conspiracy, the reason they want Sky to win was again
more money
out of Sky rather than BBC and ITV. I mean, like if they just made it an open playing field, yep, BBC, ITV, you guys can get together, and like so Sky says 300 million and BBC, ITV because of joint, they go, oh, we can give you 400.
Yeah, it's always strange.
How are they losing on that?
So at the moment it's well, the other thing that's happening, and you'll see that ARU is doing something pretty similar, which is that what the ARU are doing at the moment is that they're bundling all the rugby in Australia and selling it as one package. So one TV company will have everything, and that's going to be the internationals, the Super Rugby, also the Shoot Shield, the Super W. They're packaging it all together. CVC Investment, what they're trying to do is a similar kind of thing once when they get their stake in the Six Nations. So they're going to want to bundle the Six Nations, the November Internationals, the Gallagher Premiership, and the Pro 14, potentially also the Top 14 as well, into one TV rights bid that they sell out once. And so basically, that way, somebody can basically own rugby. If you own rugby, people have to sign up for you. At the moment, what you've got is rugby across 3 or 4 different networks. Some of them paid for, some of them not paid for, and it just becomes a dog's breakfast to try and be a rugby fan. So what CBC are trying to do is to pull it all together into one place. Now, the apparently it's everything without the top 14. But anyway, and that makes sense because they haven't got an investment in the top 14. But the ARU are doing a similar thing. So it's interesting that currently the trend is to bundle everything together and sell it off as one thing, whereas previously you've seen people try and sell different things to different people to get to get more money and things. But so yeah, there's definitely a different trend at the moment in the way, pardon me, that TV rights are being done. Listening to the Red, White, and Black Eye in the States, the American Rugby podcast, yeah, one of their problems is that, again, they've got rugby now is across 3 or 4 different networks. Yeah, it adds up buying all those subscriptions. Now, do you want to spend $120 a month on, or whatever it is, across 4 different subscriptions, or would you actually just spend $60 on one subscription? That one subscription can be more than the other subscriptions, but you're just having to buy one. So, yeah.
No. I look, as a sports fan, and we're going to be going through this in New Zealand, not for rugby, but for other sports. Is the fact is that how many subscriptions are you supposed to have, and also subscriptions to things that you won't actually watch as much as you did before, sort of thing. So the example I give for what we're going to go through in New Zealand is with cricket, where Sky, who's had cricket rights for over 20 years in this country, has lost them for the local broadcasts, but they'll still maintain them for the international broadcasts. So now, as a cricket fan in this country, you have to have at least 2 subscriptions, one for the new player in cricket, which is Spark Sport, and one for the incumbent who's got the international coverage in Sky Sport. And it's just like, as a fan of a sport, you will probably pay that premium to know that you can go to one location to get all your content.
Yep. And Simon's making sorry. He said the UK has got 3 paid TV companies currently have the rights to rugby. I thought it might be one more than that, but because you've got BT, Sky, and the Pro 14 is on a special one on its own one. I forgot which one that is. And then you've also got the internationals as well. So yes, a couple of those TV networks are free, but it's still across 5 different TV networks. I say the BT and ITV are still currently free, but it's across a lot of different networks at the moment.
Even when it's across free networks, it causes an issue. You're not paying for it, but it's still an issue because you have to. And it sounds silly because you sort of think, oh, that's quite easy, but it's amazing how you can miss games because you got to remember, where's this game being played, which channel is it on, what time is it at, all that sort of thing, and you have to keep track of what channel, what games are on. And it sounds easy, but it's amazing how it's quite simple to forget. And we see that over here in a sense, and the fact is that with rugby starting so early, you'd sort of think, oh yeah, rugby started early, so that's easy enough to program into your memory banks, but people still forget.
Well, people forgot it because it started weeks early. Then also people forget because it starts at 7:05, not 7:35. People are just totally confused. And this is still on the same network. I mean, everything is currently still on. Well, actually, I mean, there's some first 15 rugby on free to air, but on the whole, everything's on Sky. So they even get to market it as one in one place. So you supposedly should. Anyway. So I've become a good boy, a bit, or not as bad a boy as I used to watch all my rugby through Rugby Pass, and then had some issues with my VPN. So I've gone and bought the Sky Sports Now, which is actually, in all honesty, is a much better experience for watching live sport. Okay, it's much easier to find. It just pops up and you watch it quickly. It's good. Trying to find a replay though is an absolute dog's breakfast. On Rugby Pass, basically you just go along, find the game in the schedule and click play. In Sky Sports Now, you have to know when in the schedule it was, which of the 8 sports channels it was on, go and find it, and then press play. You can't go to the schedule and just pick out the game. So again, as you say, you've got to go and find where it is in the schedule to be able to watch it again, which is, it's a bit of a dog's breakfast. But apart from that, it's better than Rugby Pass as a user experience on the whole. But there you go. And to be fair, it's a lot cheaper than it used to be. It's actually because it used to be Fan Pass used to be $115 a month or something silly. It got up to being quite expensive. Now it's back down to like $34 a month, so which makes it affordable. Where are we going with that? So that's that piece. Oh yeah, a couple of comments in the chat there that yes, that the Irish government might block it and say that it's got to be on free to air. One of the opposition MPs has decided that hey, I'll get some nice free votes or get some nice free publicity by putting a members' bill saying that the Six Nations should become a Category A sport rather than a Category B sport. So Category B in the UK means that delayed or highlights have to be available on free to air. If it's an A category, then it has to be the live has to be free to air. So things that are in A category are the Wimbledon tennis final, the football Rugby World Cup final, Rugby World Cup final, those things. So to put the Six Nations into that, I think there's only 5 in Category A, would be unprecedented. Let's be honest. And if an opposition MP puts it for that, normally it's the final of a tournament. So like the Wimbledon final, it's not all Wimbledon tennis.
Okay. Because like in Australia, it's all sports of national significance have to be free to air.
Well, this is a similar sort of thing in the UK, in England, in the UK, but it's a matter of what is national significance.
Yeah. So I mean, like at the moment, so for Australia, any international match is a match of national significance. Okay. So even though people will sort of say, hey, look, rugby's sort of like dropping down the popularity ranks in Australia, which it is. Yep. It's still free to air in Australia. At 20 minutes, there's an ad break, and so you end up delayed by a couple of minutes by the time the first half ends, and then they start the second half on time, and then they have an ad break in the middle, and you end up with delayed coverage.
Have the ad break at half time.
What's it? Sorry?
Just have the ad break at half time. Give us no half time commentary.
They do that as well, but effectively what they use, so they have an ad break, and then they use it to start live again, proper live. The State of Origin, which they have over there, which is a game of national significance, that's free to air, and they do that as well. So Channel 9 used to, I assume they still got it, but they'll do the same thing as well. You can watch it on 9, and you'll start live, and it'll be delayed by the time the first half is finished. You'll start the second half live, and it'll be delayed by the time it's finished. Or you can go to behind the paywall, and you'll watch the game live all the way through.
Right. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. One of the things somebody pointed out that while CVC managed to increase the value of Formula One, they also managed to destroy the audience, and so hence the Formula One global audience was like a tenth of the size it was when it started, but the competition was worth an awful lot more. So it's going to be interesting to see what CVC does with rugby. Look, it doesn't have a mass audience in the UK to kill, to be honest with you. It's already a niche audience to a certain degree outside of the Six Nations. So, but JB from the Egg Chasers podcast did an article saying that look, CVC's a lot of venture capital is basically aimed at increasing the value of an entity and then selling it for a profit. CVC's the fund that they're using to invest in rugby is actually an income fund rather than a capital fund in that sense, and so it has to generate income each year, not just increase in value and sell it for a big pot of cash at the end. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. It means that they're going to have to take an evolution rather than revolution approach, because they're going to need to keep the income streams going, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. It's not. I don't think it's going to be the big revolution changes as we've perhaps seen, as some people might have thought it was going to be. I think we've talked about most things now.
Yeah, we have.
Anything else, or should we wrap it up there? A couple of minutes.
Well, I suppose we could. Since we've got a few seconds left, we could talk about what we're looking forward to coming up in the week. We've got the Six Nations obviously coming up this weekend, except Ireland and Italy, and then a bunch of Super Rugby games that could be of interest in terms of the outcomes as well.
So myself and Shane will preview the Super Rugby games on Thursday at 8 p.m. So do join us for that once we've got the squads. But yeah, Sunwell's Brumbies at 4:45 on Friday. That's basically Brumbies win. Let's be honest. Crusaders Reds, not too interested in that one. The first real good game, I think, it's probably going to be that 9:15 game on Friday night. Waratahs Chiefs. That could be a good game.
Yeah,
Chiefs needing to bounce back.
That's going to be, the Chiefs looking to get back onto the horse.
Yep.
After getting tipped over by the Brumbies, and then the Waratahs looking to carry on some sort of building success for the Australian teams.
The Chris is asking any picks for the Six Nations. My Six Nations predictions will come out. I'm not sure I'll get them out tonight or tomorrow morning, but yes, they will be out on the website at DrivingMaul.com. Sorry, they're running a bit late this week. Going into Saturday, then look, 8:35 in the morning. You've got Dragons Benetton catch up on that game that got postponed because of weather. You then got some. There's also a couple of Gallagher Premiership games around about that time as well. At 2:00 on Saturday, you've got your Raptors versus Arrows over on Facebook for the Major League Rugby. That's the sort of old guard against the new guard over there, which would be an interesting one. Hurricanes Blues. 7:05 on Saturday. That's a big one. Blues coming back from their 2-match tour to South Africa where they won both games. Can they continue that against the Hurricanes? That should be an interesting game.
Yeah, and that's going to sort of give us a big insight into whether the Blues team has actually made some progress forward, or whether it was just sort of like, oh yeah, they played well in South Africa and they won a couple of games.
Yep. Then you got the Rebels and Lions at the 9:15 game. I'm not really that fussed. I'll watch it, obviously, but I'm not really that fussed about that one. Overnight, then, you've got the England-Wales, which should be an absolute cracker. There's a couple of Super Rugby games as well. I've gone blank as to which ones those are. Sharks versus Jaguares. That should be an absolute cracker because, two sides there looking at basically trying to top the South Africa Conference. Bulls Highlanders, a bit less important of a game.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one. Again, the game like Bulls Highlanders, it's going to be a pointer as to where the Highlanders are actually at more than anything else. It's just like everybody's talking about they should beat the Bulls, but it's just like, well, will they?
Yep.
The Sharks, your Jaguares, that's in Durban, is it?
That's an important game. Yeah, it's in Durban. So that's a serious game that's going to impact who makes the playoffs. That really matters. NOLA Free Jacks 10:35 in the morning on Sunday for Major League Rugby, and we also got at 2:00 we got Sabercats versus Gronies and Seawolves versus Warriors. NOLA Free Jacks is the pick of those three games, folks. NOLA very strong at home. The Free Jacks surprisingly good expansion team this year. Going into Monday, you got Scotland France at 4:00 in the morning, New Zealand time. France looking to continue their run towards the what's the game I'm talking about? Towards the Grand Slam. 11 a.m. You've got Old Glory versus Rugby ATL in Major League Rugby, and at 12:00 Legion versus Rugby United New York. That 12:00 game might be one worth watching. Legion currently the best team in Major League Rugby. So if you're looking for some lunchtime watching on Monday, check that one out. Simon also lets us know that China Lions have got a warm-up match against Samoa team on Saturday at 3 p.m. As well. So if you're in the Bay of Plenty Reach, check that out, folks. I'm just having a quick look and thinking, can I get back in time for Hurricanes Blues at 7 o'clock kickoff? We will see.
You might just have to find somewhere to park up in Tauranga, or was it Tauranga or Rotorua that warm up?
Oh, neither. It's somewhere just north of Tauranga. I've gone blank off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. Oh no, you should have plenty of time to get back then.
Hang on, I'll look it up. But the so it's going to be interesting to see how. Lots of rugby on this weekend. There's a few more Gallagher Premiership games I didn't mention as well in there. Also, we've got the Canada stop of the HSBC Sevens World Series for the men as well. The LA Sevens happened last weekend, and I have no idea who won it, to be honest. Not the All Blacks, so I think they got. Sorry, not the. Who won it in the end? It was a final of Fiji versus South Africa, and South Africa beat Fiji 24-29, with the New Zealand beating Australia in the bronze final 19-21. I say Canada is this coming weekend as well. So 7 actions. So if you can't find rugby to watch, then you really need to try a bit harder. So thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure, Ashwin.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yep. And apparently, I got a shout out on Draft Rugby's podcast as well. So I'm going to go and listen to that and see what wonderful things they have to say about me. Because last week I had one of their guys on the Hash Rugby chat, and I think they might be popping on to do some of the post match reactions over the weekend as well. So. Check out Draft Rugby on Twitter as well, folks. Apparently the crowd wasn't very good in the LA Sevens compared to Las Vegas. Look, Las Vegas did a very good job around Sevens, folks. What they used to do, gone off on a Mount Maunganui. There you go. Is where the so it is Tauranga. For the
it's Tauranga.
Sorry, so I got that wrong. Las Vegas did a very good job around the Sevens, because what they did was they held about 5 or 6 different other tournaments, basically college rugby tournaments, at the same time as the HSBC World Sevens Series stop. So you had all these other people flying in for those tournaments. They would play their college games the day or so before, and then they'd go into the stands and have obviously a few beers and a party for the HSBC Sevens. I'm not sure if LA did that. But Vegas, let's be honest, it's party town. If you, as a college student, get told, "Hey, folks, boys, the college rugby program is going to fly to Vegas for the weekend," who's going to say no? Let's be honest. Whereas if you're flying to LA, LA's fun, but it's not Vegas. Let's be blunt.
Yeah, because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
What happens in Vegas stays on Facebook. So everyone, thank you very much. Head over to DrivingMaul.com, become a supporter of the channel, please. It does mean the world to me. And hopefully one day I'll earn enough to be able to feed myself, which would be really, really nice. Anything else, Ashwin?
That's about it, really. As I said, I think there's some interesting times in rugby as to see where teams are actually at. So, and this weekend will be quite a big pointer towards a couple of teams, not just one.
So there you go. So catch myself and Stephen probably on Monday night when we review the action all at 8 p.m. Don't forget, hit subscribe and the bell down below so you don't miss any of those shows.